Anthony de Mello, the Indian Jesuit who was renowned for his storytelling and his stories, tells of one story illustrative of the point that I am making here. He talks about a tale that one man believed that was going around where he was. The tale was, in a certain place, when someone hears the ringing of heavenly bells, this person will be taken immediately to heavenly bliss. This was really a rumor that circulated around the population. And one particular person, a man, believed it. He said, "Oh, there must be something to this rumor. Let me check it out." So he tried to find out where the place probably was. And from the information he had gathered, he reckoned that it would be a place that he could go to. So off he went, because he wanted to experience heavenly bliss. And it's only by hearing the ringing of these heavenly bells that one gets to it. When he got to the place, he found out that the place that people had been talking about and describing where the heavenly bells would be heard was an ordinary place by the sea. It was in fact by the beach. So, when he arrived there, he immediately settled down, found a spot where he would be comfortable, and without any delay started to listen for the ringing of heavenly bells. He was so intense, so determined in listening to these heavenly bells, that he wanted to hear the faintest of sounds. You never know. The ringing of the heavenly bells might be very faint. But as he was listening, he began to hear the waves coming in and out. The waves have their own sounds. They roar at times. And he said, "Oh my goodness, I'm being distracted by the sound of the waves. How can I possibly hear the faintest of sounds when this is so noisy?" But since he was determined to hear the heavenly bells, he kept on. But as he was listening, he not only heard the roaring of the waves, he also heard the shrieks of the birds. They were also very noisy. They were also distracting him from what he wanted to do. So the waves, the birds, and then, oh my goodness, the children that lived by the village. They were playing, so they were shouting. That's another source of distraction. And then the dogs and the roosters and all the people of the village passing through the beach. These were all distractions for him. But as he was determined, he stayed on. He listened as much as he can to all the possible sounds, waiting, hoping for the ringing of the heavenly bells. He was there for a week. No heavenly bells. Second week, no bells. Third, still no bells. Fourth week, and he was at the end of the fourth week. He was beginning to tell himself, maybe the tale was not true. Maybe it was just that, a rumor. So he said, "Well, I think I'm going back to where I came from." But on a second thought, he said, "Since I'm already here and I've traveled from afar, I might as well enjoy the place, because I've never enjoyed the place. I was so intent just to listening to the heavenly bells that I didn't hear anything. I didn't enjoy the place. So this time," he said, "I'm just going to enjoy my stay here for a few days before I set back to where I come from." So this time he was relaxed. He began to savor the environment, what he was experiencing, the wind, the sights of the sea and the village. And then he began to listen, this time to the waves. It was so rhythmic, in and out, in and out. He said, that's a nice rhythm of a sound. He began to enjoy it. And the birds, he said, oh, they're not just shrieking. In fact, they have different sounds, so varied. And in fact, they're so beautiful. The singing of the birds, that's wonderful too. And then he began to delight on the shouting of the kids. He said, this village is really alive, not only with the kids, but also with the villagers talking with each other, telling stories to one another, and the dogs and all the animals that are involved. This is a wonderful place. And as he was beginning to enjoy all these things, he thought he heard the ringing of bells. He cleaned his ears a little bit and said, oh, no ringing of bells anymore. Oh, he said, my mind must be playing tricks on me, because I have been intent on listening to these bells. So he continued what he was doing. Then for a second time, as he was enjoying everything, he thought he heard the ringing of bells. But all too briefly. So he said, maybe it's not true. My imagination. So he continued what he was doing again, delighting in all the things that he was experiencing. And then for the third time, he heard the ringing of bells. And this time, it continued. And it kept ringing louder and louder and louder and louder. And he disappeared into heavenly bliss. Now, a parable is never explained, so I will leave it unexplained.